and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today, again, we're going to be talking about Zionist atrocities. It saddens me to have to talk about these things, but I think it's very important, us as human beings with a moral compass, to chronicle what is going on and to stay aware of it. It's like, don't become used to the atrocities going on. Don't become desensitized to it. And so we have to go over these things because it's people at the end of the day that are suffering that we need to be aware of and we need to be compassionate towards. And so let's see what some of these Zionists are saying, what is going on in the genocide of Gaza. And so here we have a post by Stop Zionist Hate, where the head of research at OpenAI, Tal Broda, a Zionist, he helped develop ChatGPT. He says, more, no mercy. The IDF don't stop. Okay, so they're not showing mercy to people. This is the head of research at OpenAI, and that's how they think. And so let's see what else the Israelis, the Zionists, are doing. So Jacqueline Hinkle says that Israel's military spokesperson confirms to Haaretz that its claims about Hamas hanging dead babies on a clothesline was a lie. Okay, so just mind-boggling. You would believe anything that Israel says at this point, because every piece of propaganda they've put out there has been refuted. In fact, in some cases, like now, they're just refuting it themselves. Like, let's see what Haaretz says exactly. So from Haaretz, the Israeli military spokesperson did not deny that the words of the officer Buskila do not correspond to reality. Okay. Instead, the officer serves as an army officer in the reserves. He arrived as a large number of scenes after the attack and was exposed to many difficult scenes as part of his duties. The details of the incident will be discussed with the officer, and it will be made clear to him that events whose details are vague and unofficial should not be described. So they're just lying, just nonstop. I don't understand why something like 96% of baby boomer generation believes these things, but they're just flat out lying. Like, we have a ton of evidence showing they're lying, and people still believe it. Luckily, though, we know that younger people are refusing to believe this garbage. Again, I've talked about this in other videos. For some good reasons, they're not believing the garbage, and some bad reasons, they're not believing the garbage. But they are not believing the garbage, and at the end of the day, that's, I think, what matters most. So we have a post here by Megatron talking about how Israeli propaganda does not resonate with young people in the United States. Majority of Americans, 18 and 24, think Israel should be ended and given back to the Palestinians. Okay, so I'm in an older demographic than that, but I used to be in favor of a two-state solution, but I do actually think that the Zionists should just go back to Brooklyn, and Israel does not have a right to exist as a state. I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form. I just think as a nation state, they should not have a right to exist. Christians, Muslims, Jewish people all existed in harmony in Palestine before the state of Israel was created, and it should go back to existing in that state again, because Israel does not have a right to exist. And that's, I would definitively say, if you had asked me a year ago, there should be a two-state solution. I've changed my mind because of this conflict, because of how Israel has conducted itself, because of what I've learned about Israel as a nation and just the horrendous practices of Israel. So I am very anti-Zionist at this point. And Palestine should be given back to the Palestinians. Yes, obviously. Okay, so the survey conducted this week by Harvard-Harris polling found 51% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 24 said they believe the long-term answer to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was for Israel to be ended, given back to the Palestinians. Okay, so one thing to say here is, I've talked about this in another video. Mark Penn, the maker of this poll, he was very biased in favor of Israel, and he framed things in such a way, he asked questions in such a way that it was very pro-Israel, and they still couldn't get younger people to support Israel. And so the numbers are actually even more prominent, more in favor of Palestine than this poll actually shows, because Mark Penn, the author behind this questionnaire, was very biased in favor of Israel. So moving on, only 32% said they believed in a two-state solution, and just 17% said other Arab countries should be asked to absorb the Palestinian population against whom Israel is currently carrying out ethnic cleansing. So Palestine is a distinctive cultural group. Other countries should not have to take that population in. I know Zionists have been saying, well, there must be a reason they don't want to take this population in. Yeah, it's because you're ethnically cleansing this population from the area. There's also other political reasons for it, which is that the Hamas is kind of a descendant group of the Muslim Brotherhood. And so countries that are hostile towards the Muslim Brotherhood do not want people of that ideological leaning within their country. So places like Egypt do not want more Muslim Brotherhood supporters because the government is hostile towards the Muslim Brotherhood. And so there's some reasons like that, but truly at the end of the day, even if those reasons did not exist, ethnic cleansing is wrong, and you should not be asking other countries around the area to take in this population that is being ethnically cleansed from Gaza and from the West Bank. Okay, so this article goes on to say, thanks to social media, young people see the horrific massacre of children in Gaza with the Israeli army, and it is very clear why they are against genocide in the 21st century. So good. It is good to see that people are not supporting genocide. So now we have a poll talking about the numbers, and I have a couple different posts on this. Mario Nafal says how only 8% of articles and 9% of social media posts support Israel. So that's the thing where Israel controls the 6 largest media organizations within the United States. However, they do not control the decentralized media that's occurring now. So they do control, yes, they control Meta, so Facebook, Instagram. They control a lot of those platforms, the social media platforms. But in terms of the actual people, if they have a voice and they're not being censored directly, the people are very pro-Palestine, very hostile towards Israel. And so you're seeing that now. With the decentralization of media, people are opening up the eyes of other people to the atrocities that Israel are conducting and have conducted for many decades now, and how they've lied about things going back so far as the 1940s, when I talked about in another video where Zionists say it's blood libel to express that Israelis are poisoning wells. However, there's documentation now, official documentation showing that the Zionists, the Israelis, did poison Arabic wells. And so this information is getting out there now. And so because they don't control it, the truth is winning out in the day. Okay, so it goes on to say 83% of social media posts oppose Israel with just 9% in support. News outlets show a 3-to-1 ratio of negative over positive Israel coverage. It's really hard. I'm sure the news media, given their Zionist control, would love to post more stories about Israel that are positive, but it's really hard to frame it as positive whenever Israelis, politicians, and journalists are coming out and saying, I'm for war crimes, I want to genocide the population, let's flatten Gaza. I mean, when you have people who are saying this, who are very clearly expressing war crimes, genocidal rhetoric, it's so hard to frame that in a way that's positive, that these news outlets are struggling to even stay neutral here, even though they would love to be pro-Israel because of the Zionist control of their outlets. So moving on, it says, out of 372,000 conflict-related articles, 28% criticize Israel compared to 8% in support and 64% maintain neutrality. So as I talked about, they're trying as much as possible to maintain neutrality because you can't paint genocidal rhetoric in a positive light. And that's the situation we find ourselves in. So we can wrap up with this post by Sam Parker. Twitter is leading the information war in favor of Palestine. Worldwide social media is swamped with Palestine versus Israel coverage, and Twitter is leading the way with 64% of all qualifying posts. 1.9 million posts analyzed, 83% in favor of Palestine, 9% in favor of Israel. Okay, we see worldwide news articles. We talked about that. Dominant emerging narratives. Israel's a terrorist nation. Israel's committing a genocide. Israel's deliberately killing children and civilians. They've talked about that. They've talked about how they view the Palestinians as Amalek. And if you look at the Bible, Amalek, if you view them as Amalek, that means that you're supposed to kill all the men, women, and children. So they've come out and said they are fine with killing children. They've even shot at their own civilians because they thought they were actually Palestinians waving white flags and being unarmed. So like they have made this very clear, the dividing lines here. It's you're either in support of the mass murdering, satanic, genocidal Zionist, or you're in support of humanity. That's the sides right now. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else worth going over here. I guess we can end with this. Most of the discourse was on Twitter. Instagram took second place with 17%. Critics of Israel who have received the most significant exposure to networks are Jackson Hinkle, Muhammad Samiri, and @CensoredMan page, which have accumulated over 200 million likes, reactions, and shares. Pro-Israel side is Joseph Haddad, Dr. Eli David, and the Instagram of Stand With Us, which have accumulated 75 million likes and comments. So really interesting what's going on there. I've read some of Dr. Eli David's posts, and so He's supposed to be pro-Israel, but then he provides evidence that the Red Cross found no. He provided the paperwork that showed that the Red Cross did not find any evidence of the Holocaust happening. So I don't know how pro-Israel he could be when he's essentially denying the Holocaust there. You're welcome to look up his post about that, where he talks about the Red Cross. So anyways, that is what I'll leave you with. If you found this video to be informative, helpful, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel, YouTube, and Rumble for more content. Leave us a comment below, questions, concerns, critiques. I do read all of them, and I do respond when necessary. Tell a friend about our channel. We are obviously being suppressed in the algorithm, and we would appreciate to get more exposure, and we'd appreciate your help in that matter. And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.